Hello, and welcome to another edition of That Green Vegans Podcast. I'm Kelly. Hey, so, I'm actually driving to work right now, and something came to mind, and I gotta talk about it, right? Because I feel like we see things every day in our life, and we can learn. I mean, you literally can learn from every situation, good and bad, right? For the things that happen good in your life, you can just take the humility out of it and, find ways to just really have gratitude of the things that's happening to you, right? And then the things that's not necessarily so great, you can also take, what lesson did I learn from here? How can I make it better? Or what can I do different to get a different outcome, right? Because I think a lot of times what happened in life is people keep doing the same old thing, and the same concept, the same outcome keep coming, and then they wonder why, right? So the title of this episode is Boundaries and Booties, and I know it sounds hella crazy, but let me tell you, just look, if this is your first time coming, welcome in. But if you've heard me before, it got to be something. Like, it's always going to turn around. It always circles back. So I had a situation where something was wrong with my dishwasher, right? So the maintenance person came. So he came to my door. He knocked on the door, whatever. I let him in. So he just walked right in my damn house. Let me tell you something. My house is like my body, right? It's an extension of me. I keep my body clean. I keep my body well stocked. And I keep my body nice, right? Same thing with my home. I keep my home stocked, nice, and clean, right? One thing that I learned that because let me tell you something. Growing up, I used to always look at people side-eye when they make you take your shoes off. I'd be like, ugh, I can't stand people that make you take your shoes off when you go in their house. And then look at my ass. I grew up to be that person. Like, you come in my house, you gotta take your shoes off, right? I keep extra socks, brand new socks, so if you have like high heels, whatever, it may be a sandal, you ain't gotta walk around my house barefoot. I got some socks. Matter of fact, I prefer you wear these damn socks. I like little booties and stuff, right? Like I said, brand new. And then look, you got a little gift to take home, right? That's I don't make you take your socks off, but if you don't have any. And, for the people, like maintenance people and stuff like that, I know it's hard because you're in and out. Okay, well, you need to grab some booties. And I keep a little container, really cute, of brand new booties, right? So I keep them by my door. So you don't even have to take your shoes off. Just cover your feet, right? Because I kind of learned from somebody who, like, I questioned and was like, why are you doing that? You're so bougie, whatever. But they was like, Kelly, the outside, you're bringing the outside in your house, right? So when I thought about it, I said, oh my God, because I remember doing a podcast a long time ago. I don't know what happened to that. I can't even find it. But I used to work in San Francisco, and so I'd be walking through, like, these really bad neighborhoods and stuff to get to work. And I mean, nobody messed with me and stuff. But yeah, I'm walking through vomit, piss, shit, blood, bodily fluids, gotta calm my ass down, that actually can have something in it potentially, right? And me, like, I walk around my house sometimes barefoot kind of thing, and so even though I have carpet, and I was like, I get it, I mean, you walking through glass, you might have a shard of glass caught in your shoe, you walking through your house, a piece of whatever. But you know what? I don't judge. I always ask people to. When I come to somebody's house, I say, I need to take my shoes off, whatever, even if I don't see shoes. But let me tell you, go back to the story. So when this maintenance man came in, he's seen I got a shoe rack, right? I have a nice shoe rack. Like I said, keep my house nice and orderly. Got the shoe rack. And I don't keep a bunch of shoes on it just for the simple fact that I want someone to have the place to put their shoe. And I got my little thing of booties. So he first came into my house, and my kitchen is not too far. So when you walk into my house, it's like, you know, we have your entryway, and then it's a hallway. You have the dining area and then the kitchen. So when he first came in the first time, I said, okay. And like, I don't know if you've ever heard me say this, but I'm going to let you know. I always give you one. Because you know what? One time, like, you know, people don't know. And it's like maybe he tunnel vision. He don't see all this stuff. So I didn't say nothing. So he was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get, it was some kind of thing he needed. So he said, I'm going to go get it, right? All right. So we came back into the house. He looked down. I'm thinking, oh, he'll grab some booties, right? His ass just walked. I said, hey, I need you to put on some booties or take your shoes off. Now I'm mad because it's like he see that I don't wear shoes in my house, or he didn't even try to ask, you know, whatever. And okay, I know you might be saying, well, Kelly, you didn't tell him. You right, but I told his ass the second time. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, no, it's fine, whatever. You think I just keep shoes at the in an entryway and booties for aesthetics? But that's another thing. That's another topic for another time. You can't assume that people know, you know, how you are and what you're thinking about, right? All right, so I digress. So he's like, okay, so he put the booties on, whatever. So then he goes, he tested whatever, and he's like, okay, I need to get blah, 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 blah. I said, all right, you know, fine. And he said, are you going to be here? I said, yeah. He said, okay, give me like half an hour, whatever. I said, okay. So he comes, he walks. I'm not shit you. He walks out of my house. When I looked out the window, because I wanted to see what direction he went. If he was going right, then he going to somebody else's apartment. If he went left, he's going towards like the little maintenance building. So when I looked out, he had walked out to the right. So I'm thinking, okay, he's going to somebody's apartment. He walked across the grass. Do you know what's in grass? Not only grass, but poop. He still had those booties on. When I tell you, I started putting this story in my mind. I said, if this MFer come into my house with these black, it's gonna be a problem. So when he came back, whatever, I heard him because I wasn't by the door. I was in the living room, so I heard the door shut. Or no, I think he knocked or something, and then he came in. So I came out from around the corner from my living room, and behold, he had them booties. I said, excuse me, are those the same booties that you wore outside? And he said, yeah. I said, I need you to get some new booties, please. And he was like, oh, sure. He said, I didn't want to waste your booties. I said, oh, no, don't feel like that. That's what the booties are for. Let me tell you something. When I have two sides to me, right? I have a rah-rah side. Okay, yeah, you don't want to deal with that. But I also have this really calm, relaxing side, right? That come out. And I do have that. And I say 95% of the population get the really nice, cool, you know, Kelly. But then it's like 5% of the world do get that rah-rah. But it's only because you triggered the rah-rah. Otherwise, rah-rah would not happen. So I was like, oh, no, that's what they're for. And so he's like, okay. So he got another fresh things of booties. I said, will you have to leave again? And then he said, I hope not. And I said, okay. So he worked on it. And he's like, okay. He said, I know what happened, whatever. I got it, I said, okay, great, right? So then I said, if you're done with the booties, you could just leave them at the front door. I'll dispose of them for you. I said, or if you want to keep it, you can keep it. And then I said, you know, I wasn't trying to be rude or anything. It's just that, and I explained to him about when you outside and you walking around and you bring that into your house. And I'm the kind of person, like, I'm very, very granola. So, like, I like to do yoga and stretching and Pilates and all this kind of stuff, right? So I use my floor. I vacuum. I used to, like, not vacuum a lot, but I vacuum at least, like, 3 times a week. You know, I try to make sure that there's nothing on my floors and stuff like that. But anyway, when I explained to him about like the vomit and the piss and the shit and bodily fluids, he understood. He was like, oh, he said, that makes sense. And I was like, yes. And so I really, he appreciated, me, just being open, having open, honest communication with him, So from that, every time I see him, he always go out his way to like say hi to me. Like he'll be driving, he'll see me, he'll stop the car and wave. And I'll always wave it back. I think it's really cute. But I see all this say, it's about boundaries. And I think sometimes we feel embarrassed when things are happening, and you can't feel embarrassed. Look, it'd be crazy. Like, I'll go out to eat I have this one particular friend, right? She just takes everything. It's just crazy. And so we went out to eat, and I asked her, I said, how's your food? And she's like, oh, it's not that great. And I said, well, send it back. She's like, oh, I ate half of it. I said, it don't matter if you ate all of it. If you don't like it, if it's not good, then, don't eat. Why you keep eating it? I mean, you knew by the first bite you didn't like it, but you gonna keep eating it? I said, that's crazy. And she's like, well, I don't want to be I said, this is the person's job. And let me tell you, I have to stop myself all the time because I do apologize a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'll call someone and like say there's a situation where I had to get my dental insurance. I had to get the number and stuff, right? And so she said, well, do you have your employee number? And it's one of them long numbers. And I was like, oh, yeah. I said, oh, I got to get it. And I was like, I kept saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then I said, wait a minute. You at work. Why am I rushing? Why am I all fluttered? And then, because I remember, it's this comedian called Earthquake. Oh my God, he is so funny. But he had this joke where he said he was with these Hispanic, working with these Hispanic workers, and he said they work really, they work tirelessly, they work and they're really fast, right? And so he said he was working on these roofs and stuff, and he said they would get up there, boom, finish the roof, boom, and then he'll be on the next roof, right? And then he said that would make him have to do more. And he said he had to pull them to the side and say, look, we get paid by the hour. We don't get paid by the roof. And I just thought that was so funny. And I keep that mentality with me all the time. Good morning. What you got your little bag? What's the...
One of the grandmothers. She's working in Super Bowl.
Uh-huh. Oh, that's so nice. Uh-huh.
She's bringing me some more stuff on Monday.
Oh, that's beautiful. You have a great Friday. All right, bye-bye. Thank you. I be talking to everybody. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I be talking to everybody. I know, and it's like sometimes I'll be on the phone and be pulling people into my world. Someone told me that. They were like, you know what? This is Kelly's world. I'm like, yeah, it's a nice place to be. All right. So, to get back to the story. What was I saying? Oh my God, I forgot. The reason why I stopped because he was walking in front of my car and they wanted to hit him, kind of thing. All right. Child, I forgot. I forgot what I was talking about that quick. But it was really nice. So the gentleman that was walking in front of me, he had a bag, and I was like, good morning. I was like, what you got? And so he was just saying that one of the parents in our community actually worked for the Super Bowl and got him some swag and stuff. So I thought that was pretty dope. But anyway, I digress. I really forgot what I was talking about. But you know what? I'm just gonna keep it pushing. I know when I listen back to it, I'm like, I do that a lot, right? So someone was telling me about, you have what do you call it? ADHD. I don't know. I don't think I have attention deficit disorder because I can focus, I can listen. I'm a really great listener kind of thing, but I think it's like when I'm talking and I have all this stuff. I have a lot of stuff in my head, and so when it comes out, it just kind of comes out. But I do get easily distracted. That's why it's like sometimes I just be like, you know what? I gotta focus. I gotta focus. I just can't be. I mean, I love to micromanage, but micro task, not micromanage. I don't like to micromanage. I like to micro task. Oh, okay. So I made it to work. I made it to work. But like I said, I'm going to go circle back. Creating boundaries for people, right? Because you have to stand 10 toes down, I was talking about embarrassment. Okay, that's what it was. So I have a friend, and she ate the food. That's what I was talking about. She was eating the food, so she was embarrassed to go back and ask them, and so I asked him, I said, excuse me. I said, she don't like her food. And so then the guy said, well, she ate half of it. And then she looked, and I said, that's not the point. She don't like her food. I said, do you want something else? She's like, no. And then I said, okay, well, can you just, take it away and refund her food, whatever, and refund it. And he said, we can't do that. Anybody that knows me, first thing I said was, okay, can I talk to your manager, please? And you know what this guy said to me? She gonna tell you the same thing. I took a deep breath. I said, can I please talk to your manager? And then he was like, okay, whatever. And I said, wait, can you take this food away, please? And then he, we had a little attitude. He took the food and he walked away. So my friend was like, I don't want to cause any trouble. I said, why would you pay for something that you do not want? You don't do that. So anyway, the manager come around. Hi, can I help you? So now 5% Kelly is gone, right? So now I got the 95% Kelly. And I was like, hi, how are you doing today? She was like, good. I said, oh, that's amazing. I said, I was talking to my friend and I asked her, how does she like her food? And she said she didn't like it, right? But she was eating it. And then, I was trying to tell her, I said, look, I'm management. Like I have a background. I used to be a manager, in multiple different, I didn't tell her that, but I'm just letting you know as a listener, I've been a manager hella times in my life, right? And I said, one thing that, I've always learned is give me the opportunity to make it better, right? I said, I was talking to the gentleman, the waiter, and, and I was telling him, he said, there's nothing you could do. I said, but from one manager to another manager, look, I know for a fact that you want to make sure that you are given the opportunity to correct the situation. Now, would you want her to leave here and then tell everybody the food is horrible, or that she had something that she didn't particularly like, but they was able to resolve it and make her back whole? And she goes, of course we want to make her back whole. She's like, you didn't like the food? And then she was like, no. She's like, well, what was it about it? She's like, well, I like pasta. She said, but I didn't like those, it was like some roasted peppers or something, right? She said, I didn't like the roasted peppers. They really, they tasted like burnt and whatever. And she's like, I just thought it would get better. Just like, she's goofy. So then the manager's like, I'm so sorry. And then she's like, of course we'll take it off your bill. I don't want you to feel, if you didn't like it, I didn't want. And I say, thank you so much. I said, you see that? And then she was like, your friend is right. She was like, if there's something you don't like, please let us know, right? And I said, yeah. I said, because I asked her if she wanted something else. She said no. So now it's like she got that feeling in her. Like, she might not be full, but she got the and she goes, oh no, we don't want you to have that feeling, right? And then so she's like, don't worry, I'm gonna take it off your bill. She actually came over with this little plate of pasta, right? And it was like the little like the long little tubes, whatever, I forgot you call it, panini or something, I don't know. But anyway, she came over, I don't think that was panini, but anyway, she came over with this other kind of pasta, and she was like, hey, she's like, I know you said you're full, but maybe you can try this and let me know what you like. So she tried it, she goes, that is good. And she's like, I like that. She said, yeah, this is our, and she described it something lemon, right? And she's like, oh, and then she was like, oh, okay. So she's like, well, cause I wanted you to know, like if you like pasta, she's like, actually, this is my favorite kind of thing, right? And then she's like, oh, okay. And then I said, that looked good. I said, I wish I could try it, but I'm vegan. She's like, you're vegan? I said, yeah. She said, oh, this is vegan. I said, what? She said, yeah. She said, we don't put any she said the noodles, doesn't have any egg in it. And then she went to tell me how it's basically like oil and lemon zest and capers and, some other stuff. And I said, let me try that. And I tried it. I said, it was hella good. I said, oh, yes. I said, next time we come here, I'm going to get that. And she's like, okay. Do you know, not only did she take off my friends, she took off my friends, the meal off her so she didn't have to pay for it, but she also gave both of us a container of the pasta to go. And then my friend was just like, so like, oh my gosh, she was just so happy. I remember we was, walking with our pastas, whatever, and we was talking. We was about to get back on the BART because we was in San Francisco in Marcus area, right? And I was just telling her, like, come on, like, even you have to have boundaries with other people as well. You know what I'm saying? So just don't settle. And I know I always talk about this. I always circle back. Don't settle. Like, and especially something like so small, and just know, like, if you like, always ask for a manager. Like if someone can't help you, go above them. But if it's somebody in your life, like say it's like your brother or your sister or somebody like that, right? You can't go above their head, but it's like you can just learn from that situation and know not to do it again, right? Because we're not going to be sitting up here banging our head against the wall, trying to break down the wall kind of thing. Oh my goodness, you talk about rants. I just be all over the place, but I don't know, I might just, this is like a car version. This is like the car version of a podcast. Whatever. So yeah, so just just keep your boundaries, keep your standards high. One thing that I learned, but one thing that my good friend Nate, he really like drove home to me is like, have low expectations but high standards, right? So as far as like the food, it's like, okay, things happen, don't feel bad about having it corrected, right? That's the low expectations, but then make your standards high. Don't just settle for anything, and make sure that you like really get what you deserve, right? Your wealth. Make sure that everybody else knows it as well. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I really appreciate you. And you know what? If no one's told you today that they love you, I love you. Go out and be great. Bye.